Iva,
Yeah,
certainly.
certainly.
Ed, Edayati,
Nagari.
causes to increase.
Cause
Ataha,
Adana.
hence.
And
Tat Pratyanikam,
that's what I mean.
inimical to them.
It
Asuran, the demons. Surapriyaha, being the friend of the demigods. Rajaha Tasmakam, Tamaskam, sorry. Rajaha Tamaskam, covered by passion and ignorance. Kriminoti, destroys. Urushravaha, whose glories are widespread. Okay. Translation. And purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O King, this time factor enhances the sattva gun. Thus, although the Supreme Lord is the controller, he favors the demigods who are mostly situated in sattva gun. Then the demons who are influenced by tamagun are annihilated. The Supreme Lord induces the time factor to act in different ways, but he is never partial. Rather, his activities are glorious, and therefore he is called Urushravaha. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samoham Sarvabhuteshu Name Dveshto Strina Priyaha. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be partial. He is always equal to everyone. Therefore, when the demigods are favored and the demons killed, this is not his partiality, but the influence of the time factor. A good example in this regard is that an electrician connects both the heater and the cooler to the same electrical energy. The cause of the heating and cooling is the electrician's manipulation of the electrical energy according to his desire. But factually, the electrician has nothing to do with causing heat or cold, nor with the enjoyment or suffering that results. There have been many historical incidents in which the Lord killed a demon, but the demon attained a higher position by the mercy of the Lord. Putana is an example. Putana's purpose was to kill Krishna. Aho Bhakti Yam Stana Kala Putan. She approached the house of Nanda Maharaj with the purpose of killing Krishna by smearing poison on her breast. Yet when she was killed, she attained the highest position, achieving the status of Krishna's mother. Krishna is so kind and impartial that because he sucked Putana's breast, he immediately accepted her as his mother. This superfluous activity of killing Putana did not diminish the Lord's impartiality. He is Suridam Sarvabhutanam, the friend of everyone. Therefore, partiality cannot apply to the character of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always maintains his position as the Supreme Controller. The Lord killed Putana as an enemy, but because of his being the Supreme Controller, she attained an exalted position as his mother. Srila Madhava Muni therefore remarks, Kale Kala Vishaye Pishita Dahati Karanat Vat Suranikam Iva Stitam Sattvam. Ordinarily, a murderer is hanged, and in the Manusamhita it is said that the king bestows mercy upon the murderer by killing him, thus saving him from various kinds of suffering. Because of his simple activities, such a murderer is killed by the mercy of the king. Krishna, the supreme judge, deals with matters in a similar way because he is the supreme controller. The conclusion, therefore, is that the Lord is always impartial and always very kind to all living entities. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please repeat after me, O King.
Okay.
This time factor
Sun
enhances the sattva guna.
enhances the self-liberty.
Thus, although the Supreme Lord
Thus the lowest honor
is the controller, he favors the demigods who are mostly situated in sattva guna. Then the demons who are influenced by Tamil guna are annihilated. The Supreme Lord induces the time factor to act in different ways, but he is never partial. Rather, his activities are glorious, and therefore he is called Urushravaha. Omagyanatavandasya Gyavanjana Shivakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasatam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namustate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudhi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so I'm just going to bring something up. So this is Pariksit Maharaj and Shukadev Goswami speaking. The Shukadev Goswami is responding to Pariksit Maharaj, and he's talking about how the Supreme Lord, although the super soul friend of everyone, killed the Daityas, the demons, for the sake of Indra. And he's really talking about the Lord's partiality, right? So he's actually talking about the Lord's impartiality rather. And so in this particular series of verses, it actually begins with Pariksit Maharaj inquiring, my dear Brahmana, the Supreme Personality of God Vishnu, being everyone's well-wisher, is equal and extremely dear to everyone. How then did he become partial, like a common man, for the sake of Indra, and thus killing Indra's enemies? How can a person equal to everyone be partial to some and inimical to others? So this is a very interesting question, because throughout our spiritual lives, we see that different people experience different things in life, even materially. Someone works hard at the university, they work hard at the university. When the exams come, they happen to have the questions that they prepared for. Ever had that experience? Right? And the opposite happens a lot to us, right? Also, you've worked really hard and you were sure they were going to ask you about these topics because the last year and the year before and the year before they asked different questions. You thought, I know how to game the system now, right? I know what to expect because you pull a pattern and then you've prepared really, really hard. You sit down for the exam. Nope. The luck's out on that occasion. The questions that you're being asked is exactly the questions that you haven't prepared for. And you're thinking, is there a God? How does this happen to me? You know? Sometimes for devotees, there's another layer. Like, it's only really good rounds that day. And still Krishna didn't help me out. So So we have this idea of partiality and impartiality in the material world. It can get even deeper than that. Let's be honest. Sometimes devotees fall out with other devotees. We have a disagreement, and you feel someone did something bad to me, right? Or this devotee, they didn't treat me a proper way, or person, they said this about me. And in the back of our minds, we're waiting for Krishna to mess them up, man. Mess them up real bad. Waiting for Krishna to show them, like, because you have to show them they can't mess with me, right? I'm your devotee, right? You should make something bad happen. And if anything bad does happen, then we're like, yeah, see, that's what you get. Krishna. Yeah. No, we don't say it because we're polite in Krishna consciousness, right? But in the back of our mind, thinking, yeah, that's what happened to you, right? Because you did that to me. That's Krishna, like sorting you out. So we have this sense that Krishna should respond to us, and he does respond. He does respond, but response is a very deep thing. Response requires two key elements. There's the response itself, and then there's our understanding or appreciation of what he's doing. And sometimes the two things are out of sync. It's just like when we're very young and our parents respond to us a certain way. We want to play. And mom and dad are like, no, you're going to do your homework. And you're like, no, I'm going to play. And the parents are like, no, trust me, you're going to do your homework. And we don't understand. It's like, what's the big deal, right? It's just some homework. If I don't read that book, whatever, it's not a big deal. But the parents, they have a different perspective. And what is driving that different perspective? It's exactly what is stated in this verse. Right? This verse says, O king, this time factor enhances the sattva gun, time factor, sattva gun. What does that mean exactly? It means the parents have a long-term view. They know there's a long-term success, there's a short-term success, there's a medium-term success, and there's a long-term success. Sattva actually all three modes. Sattvam rajas tama iti gune prakriti sambhavaha nirbadanti baho dehinam avyayam. Sattvam rajas tama. The mode of goodness, the mode of passion, the mode of ignorance, they all actually give you a result over a certain time period. You see? So some people, they're attuned to the mode of ignorance. And I was working with one person in one company. And, sometimes it's a bit hard to tell. Is this person in the mode of goodness or in the mode of ignorance? Sometimes you can't tell because they can be really nice people. And then one day we were in the canteen and he said to me, he said, you know what? I really love sleeping. I thought, okay, that's my answer to that question. Like that. I really love sleeping. All right. So Thomas, okay, no problem, Krishna. I got it. So some things give you a result in the short term, in the very short term. Sometimes people they embrace the mode of ignorance. I'll just sleep, tune out. Unfortunately, what happens is you get a certain result now, just tune out, but that leads to a very bad result over time. So the mode of ignorance, it can give a seeming result in the beginning, straight away, right? So someone is lazy to do their duties, lazy to do their work, lazy to study. Don't worry about it. It feels good in the beginning, but it induces a really bad habit. There was a study on this. It's so interesting because one of the things that Krishna keeps showing me is how much our teachings are so incredibly scientific. You can look this up. There's a study that says that when people sleep late and wake up late, they're more likely to experience depression because this is in one study, but we understand it spiritually and scripturally. If they keep sleeping late and waking up late, they're invoking the mode of ignorance. So the mode of ignorance, it causes more of a tamasic or thick, blinding, covering energy to cloud the mind. So over time, that same person, even though it just feels good, yeah, wake up whenever I want, sleep whenever I want, they're weighing down their mind with a very tamasic, thick energy. And therefore, the mode of ignorance, even though it seems to be okay in the in the immediate term, right? Immediately, there's so much negative ramifications. The mode of passion gives a result in the short term. So not the immediate. in the short term. We often think about this. So in the mode of passion, someone gets one over on someone else, right? Someone says something a little bit cutting or a little bit rude, and they were able to get away with it. But in the long term, it damages the relationship. There's an institute called the Gottman Institute. Has anyone heard of the Gottman Institute? No? You've heard of it? Okay. Yeah. So it's a famous institute, and it was created by, I think the person's name is John Gottman. He and his wife are both part of this institute, and it's about relationships. And this institute, they've been able to predict with a 94% accuracy by observing a couple, right? Married couples, they're able to predict with 94% accuracy if that couple will split up. And it's interesting, how were they able to predict it? 94%. What they looked for was signs of contempt, right? Signs of contempt. When people like just say something cutting or disrespectful or just kind of like, just ignore someone, those signs of contempt. And by seeing those signs of contempt, they were able to predict if those signs are there consistently, this couple, doesn't matter whether they're married or not right now, they're going to break up. Now, those personalities are not necessarily familiar with Vedic literature, but we understand that what they're saying makes complete sense. Why? Because what they're picking up are symptoms of the mode of what? Passion. And we know from Krishna that activities in the mode of passion, they begin like nectar and they end like poison. You see? So that's exactly what they're actually tuning into. They're tuning into a symptom of a particular mode. These behaviors are in the category of passion. Because they're in the category of passion, it's going to cause this situation to follow the pattern of passion. And that pattern will lead to the breakdown. 94% accuracy. Here, this verse is talking about the mode of goodness. And this is actually what many of you are doing. And this is why I wanted to talk about this. It's such an important thing. Because if we want to be successful in Krishna consciousness, one of the things that the Vedic literatures is actually training us to do is to train us to tune our consciousness and our mentality to the mode of goodness and beyond. Right? So think about that. Some people, and you see this in the world, some people play the short game, and there are others who play the long game. If we don't have the proper perspective, we may even feel, you know what, I'm doing all the right things. And it just seems like other people are doing better than I am, right? They're making shortcuts, they're doing this, they're doing that, and nothing seems to happen to them. I'm doing all the right things, and it just seems like what if things are harder for me? Now it's very, very interesting. The training of the Vedic literature is so amazing, but it's so subtle. Every time you read the Bhagavad Gita, every time you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, every time you read Prabhupada's books and teachings, your consciousness is undergoing a transformation. It's being attuned to a particular level of consciousness and a particular level of reality. Why is it that these Vedic literatures often talk about the long-term outcomes? And when we say long-term, I mean, think about this. How long-term is it? Long-term to the point of eternality, right? Here, in this purport, Prabhupada talked about a particular witch who tried to kill Krishna. What's her name? Putana, right? He doesn't only talk about what she did on Boma Vrindavan, these leelas, because Krishna's pastimes as a baby, they don't happen in Goloka Vrindavan. There's Nitya Leela and Naimitika Leela. Nitya Leela are the eternal pastimes that take place in Goloka Vrindavan, in the spiritual sky. When Krishna comes to this material world, there are different pastimes that take place. There are his Nitya Leela, some of those take place, but there's also Naimitika Leela. Because in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna is eternally the same age. There isn't Krishna, his childhood pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan. They happen on this earth planet, Boma Vrindavan. Krishna doesn't kill demons in Goloka Vrindavan. He kills demons in Boma Vrindavan, like Putana. So Naimitika, occasional pastimes, like the killings of demons, they happen on this earth planet. Nitya Leela, those pastimes happen in Goloka Vrindavan. However, in Goloka Vrindavan, the residents of Vrindavan, they have a memory of, oh, I remember when Krishna killed that demon. They remember it as if it happened there, right? Even though it happened here. So there's a difference. But what does Prabhupada do? He points out that Putana, she became liberated even though she came to kill Krishna. And what's her liberation in the spiritual world? She has a relationship with him like a what? Like a mother. Now there's a subtle detail that the acharyas give. Because she came to Krishna with a bad intention, even though he liberated her to have a mood of the parental rus, Vatsalya rus, right, in the spiritual world, still she never gets to directly serve him. She never gets to directly serve him in the spiritual world, but she has that mood of a mother. She has that motherly affection. So the Bhagavatam shows the long-term outcomes. That's why you also hear about demons doing something wrong, and you see that somehow in the short term things work out well, but in the long term things work out badly. Not only that, it's very interesting. You also see what they did in their previous life that caused them to be a demon in this life. So again, this long-term end-to-end view, right? Sattva favors the long term. Sattva shows you can do anything you want. And in the short term, you may get away with it. But in the longer term, let's put it this way, all the books get balanced. You understand how that works, right? In the long term, whatever you take, you have to give back. The price has to be paid. So higher than Sattva, there's one thing higher than Sattva, and that is Shuddha Sattva, right? Which is the eternal spiritual platform. So what we are doing in this world as devotees, we are taking care of our worldly duties, dharma, and we're doing it in such a way that actually helps us to get to the spiritual platform, which is Sanatana Dharma. We're doing both things, right? There's certain things you have to do in this world. You have to take care of your responsibilities, etc. But we do it in such a way, we dovetail those things in such a way that we also achieve the transcendental goal. And this is the value of this Krishna consciousness. For those of you who therefore are involved in outreach, for example, university, helping in that service, everything you do in that area is of a transcendental credit. Our job in the Krishna consciousness movement is to become spiritually wealthy, is to build up your spiritual credits. Krishna consciousness means lifestyles of the spiritually rich and famous. That's the idea. How do we build up these spiritual credits? One of the most powerful ways to build up the spiritual credits is to help other people to access those spiritual credits. There was a documentary my wife saw, and it was about some homeless people. And it turns out in some cases, you have homeless people who are from really wealthy families. And they got into drugs, they got into bad association, and because of that, they became disowned by their own parents. But in some cases, there was opportunity to reunite them. So how does that work? You see some homeless person, they've got needles around them, they're begging for food, they're starving. You see them with they're living in a box, you know, shivering to death sometimes. But you look at that person, you recognize, hold on, I know you. Aren't you that son of that millionaire? Like, what are you doing here? How are you living like this? And then a good person, they help that individual to remember their original family connection. You know, your dad's a multimillionaire and you live in Manhattan. Like, why are you living rough on the streets like this? Have you forgotten who you are? And then you help that person to be reunited with their shelter, with their family. And I make if you give them a little bit of money, if you buy them a drink, it's not the same. It's not the same as reminding them that you're part of a wealthy family. Why don't you just let me just help you? Let's help you get back home, right? Because you can give a few dollars right now, but if you help them to get back home, everything is taken care of. So for those individuals who take on the wonderful service of reawakening humanity to their eternal spiritual wealth, Ramadan, for those who take that mission on board in bringing people back to their original home, your path back home is automatically guaranteed. So this is what it means for Sankirtan. San means all, right? San means all, it means congregational, it means all the people, but San also means all of the world, all of the facility. It means to engage everything in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this powerful mission of sharing Krishna, sharing our good fortune with others, increases the good fortune of everyone who does it. Prabhupada explained to the devotees when he was physically on the planet, he explained that there should have been a third world war. Right? Sometimes when you listen to the news, you think like maybe it's coming up, right? There's Russia versus Ukraine, and then you've got one country, wars in many different places. Prabhupada explained something very interesting. He said there should have been a third world war, but it was stopped. He said, why was it stopped? It was stopped by the Sankirtan mission. Whenever you engage in outreach of any kind, I repeat, whenever you engage in outreach of any kind, even you give someone a biscuit that's been offered to Krishna, you are actually burning off not just that individual's karma, but through the individual, you're burning off the collective karma of the entire society. When this idea, you've been in a yagya, right? The fire sacrifice. And so they're throwing different things into the fire sacrifice, right? Different vegetables or fruit and different things. The Sankirtan Yajna is exactly that. You're burning off the karma of the entire world. So in a society where there's so many sinful things that go on, it is actually the Sankirtan Yajna of the devotees that's burning off a lot of the sinful karma of the entire world. And by burning off the sinful karma of the entire world, certain things which we are meant to experience on a global level, world wars, famines, all these things, you are not just protecting yourself from those issues. You're not just protecting other members of society, other religious people, other atheists, other materialistic people. You're not just protecting them. You're also creating a more viable future for your own future generations. So don't, as they say in America, don't get it twisted, right? When we do this Krishna consciousness, you're actually doing amazing things to change the nature of human history, to redirect the entire nature of human history. And also, this is really important, you're changing your own future. Sometimes there's these movies, right, where someone comes back from the future, right? Like in the future, everyone dies. I came back to save humanity, that kind of thing. You could put yourself in the starring role. Believe me, it is not an exaggeration. Put yourself in that starring role. Every single one of you are incredibly special. Every devotee is incredibly special. It is extremely, I repeat, it is extremely rare to know anything about Lord Chaitanya's mission. Even more rare than knowing about Lord Chaitanya's mission is to be born in Lord Chaitanya's mission, to engage in Lord Chaitanya's mission, to become an instrument, the miracle. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to be used as an instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's own eternal loving pastimes of saving the entire world. I repeat, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to be an instrument of Krishna's own miracles in this world. He's gonna save the world anyway, right? We know. How do we know? Because it's predicted. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I will come. I will come to save the world. I will do my preaching throughout Bharatvarsha. But there'll be one person, the Senapati Bhakta, which means the commander in chief of my own army, right? Who will spread this mission across the entire world. That personality has come, Srila Prabhupada. So the commander in chief, he also has his own generals, his own army. Oops, just for like dramatic emphasis. He has his own army. You're the army. So Krishna wants to save the world through each and every one of you. He wants to make the miracle happen through each and every one of you. And it is a miracle if we position ourselves properly, which means that we sincerely try to be an instrument, and it will require something from us. It will require us, it will require us to be the very best version of ourselves. Oh, okay. It will require us to be the very best version of ourselves. It will require us to cooperate, sometimes even, agree to disagree. It will do what? It is just like, diamonds. Like a diamond is produced under tremendous pressure. That is how a diamond is produced. So when we engage in this service is the greatest mission that you can possibly engage in. Because what happens in this mission is you become a puppet for the Supreme. He starts to work through you. His own spiritual potency uses you as a puppet to deliver everyone in this world and bring them back home, back to Godhead. So if you want an adventure, and if you want an ambition, a real ambition, the greatest ambition, this is it. How does this work? Prabhupada says it's about cooperation. Because you show your love for me by how you cooperate with each other. It is about love and trust. It is about understanding that if I do what will please the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a wise way, and I emphasize this, by the way, there are many people who get taken out of the mission, right? And you'll have seen some devotees like that who were taken out of the mission. Why were they taken out? You want to do this, but you want to do this wisely. Going back to what was said in this verse, the sattva gun, right? The time factor. Some people engage in Krishna consciousness in the mode of ignorance, right? Don't really know what they're doing, don't really understand why they're doing it, don't really think about it. Some people engage in Krishna consciousness in the mode of passion, right? You're a devotee, I'm a devotee, but you're getting much more Mahaprasadam than me. We'll see about that, like that, right? So it becomes competitive. Some people engage in Krishna consciousness in the mode of goodness, and that's very, very favorable. What does that mean? It's done in a wise way. It's done in a thoughtful way. It's done with intelligence. It's done with proper understanding. What does Krishna tell Arjuna? He says, Tadvidi priprasnena sevya upidikshanti te jnanam, jnaninas tatvadarshana. He says, just approach a bona fide spiritual master. But he didn't just say approach. He says you should do what? Inquire from him submissively and render service to him. He can show you the truth because he has seen it. So, in other words, don't follow anything blindly. I remember my spiritual master told us once. He said, whatever I tell you, he said, even my own instructions to you, you should evaluate that against the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. He said that. Now you can say that if you know what you're doing, right? No problem. I want you to follow. Evaluate what I'm telling you against what Prabhupada has said to you. Don't follow blindly. If we can practice Krishna consciousness in a wise way, and we can. You guys are like the soldiers. I love the presentation, the discussions that we had just yesterday. This idea of learning from one another. Every one of you, you have rich experiences, insights, things that you've read, things that you've heard, things that you've learned, things that you've realized. And many of you, you don't just carry the realizations and learnings of this lifetime. Many of you, having been born in the movement or come to the movement early on, it means you have so much spiritual credit from your previous lives. It's extremely special. What happens in the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Krishna asks Arjun asks Krishna, what is the fate of the unsuccessful yogi? And he's told either the person takes birth in a rich mercantile family, which means they don't have to worry about money and they can focus on spiritual life, or if they've done even more service, they take birth in the family of transcendentalists. If they've done even more service, extremely special. So we have to take advantage of these spiritual credits. So again, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to be used as an instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself to make miracles happen in the life of the entire human civilization on this planet at this time. How will we do this? We'll do this by regular hearing and chanting. We'll do this by sincere cooperation. And interestingly enough, you'll also do it by having fun and relishing it in Krishna consciousness. Susukam kartam avyayam. This devotional service, Krishna says, is Shushukam kartam avyayam. It is joyfully performed. So we want to encourage you in the world where everyone is trying to put themselves as the center. You'll find that the most amazing thing, the spiritual dynamic is very different. The moment you put Krishna in the center, who do you think he puts in the center? Who do you think? You. You see, that's Krishna is the perfect person to have a relationship with. Why? Because the devotee and Krishna, they're always in competition. They're always in a divine competition. What is that divine competition? That divine competition is everyone is trying to see how they can serve the other person better. Everyone is trying to see how they can take care of the other person better. Every person is trying to see how they can facilitate, support, and love the other person better. Oh, and by the way, Krishna always wins. Isn't that interesting? Competitive relationships. We're trying to serve Krishna. Krishna wants to serve his devotee. He wants to take care of you much, much more than you can possibly imagine. So as we engage in our service to Krishna sincerely with the heart, you will see it unfold in your own life, a miracle in your own Krishna consciousness, and the miracle of how Krishna will take care of you in ways that you cannot even begin to imagine. So let's thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Janatai Gaur Pramanandi.
Okay, ooh, the meeting's open at 8:15, so you have time for questions and
Yeah, we have time. Okay, perfect. Okay, because I have a habit of going over time. So Christian's given me some, well, rather Damodar has very kindly given us some additional time, so that's good. So let's churn this a little. Do you have any questions or comments? Yes.
I have like three questions.
Yes.
So the first two have to do with time.
Yes.
Can you explain like what time means in this context? Because like in the spiritual world, there's no time.
Great question.
So
Shall I maybe start that one before, or was the second question part links? Okay, okay, yeah.
like if time enhances sattva-guna, then like why are the nitas degrading as time passes? Like it's that's what I'm
Yeah,
with
great
time.
question. Great question. So in the Bhagavad Gita, there are five key themes, right? So one is Ishvara, that's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One is Jiva, which is a living entity. One is Karma, which means activity. One is Prakriti, which means the material nature. The fifth theme of the Bhagavad Gita is Kala. Kala is time. Time is actually the programming of the material energy, right? So just like you have a computer, your computer has a programming, right? It's got a certain program that runs on the computer. Time is the program that runs the entire material energy. So it's a material energy. Think of it like a technology, and time is a program. What do I mean by that? For example, your body. Whether you like it or not, the program that's running your body means that over time your body changes, right? So from birth, the color programming, right, that's in your body means that from birth, your body will start to grow and develop. it will reach a certain age, and at a certain point it will peak, and then at a certain point it will start to diminish, and then you'll get old age and then ultimately death. That's the programming of the material energy. So every atom has that programming called time in the atom. That is why, whatever it is, you leave your car over time, your car will start to wear down and degrade. You don't have to do anything. Over time, the programming of time itself will cause the material energy to follow a certain pattern and ultimately degrade. So, in the broader sense, the yuga that, but they're cyclical, meaning that we go from Satya Yuga all the way down to where we are now, right? Which is Kali Yuga. This is the worst. This is the worst period. However, within that, by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, there's a 10,000 year golden age within Kali Yuga. So within something going down, something can go up. Um, yeah. So in the sense that Lord Chaitanya came, he bucks the time trend temporarily. Because actually, no, you could say both things are going on. The material energy will go down over time, but the spirituality in this particular universe will go up, but just for a short period, just 10,000 years. This age of Kali is 432,000 years in total. And 5,000 years have already gone past, so we have 428,000 years to go, right? So, buckle up, okay? We've got a long time to go. But within that, we've had these 10,000 year golden period, and it began when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on the planet. So, to answer your question, things are still degrading, okay? The time factor is still, if you look at it even through the yugas, through the cycle of 4 yugas, Kali Yuga is the worst period. It's going down. However, because the Lord is very merciful, what does he do? Like sometimes you may have seen this in school, right? You have the students who are really struggling, but the teacher really is, they're the great teacher. The teacher really cares. Usually the teachers who work with the struggling students are the ones who really want to help. You see? The ones who want an easy time, they don't work with the struggling students. They want to be with the A grade students because that just makes them look good. And the teacher who really cares about the students, he or she, they're prepared to work with the struggling students because they really care about people. It's not about looking good. It's not about my grades and look how much I'm. It's like, I want to be with those people, right? I know they're struggling, but I believe in them. I care about them. And actually, because those students are the most struggling, you need the best teachers, right? Because the more that people are struggling, the more powerful the mercy needs to be in order to help them up, right? You can't have you can't have a low quality teacher to help the really struggling kids. You actually need the best teachers to help the most struggling children. So Lord Chaitanya himself, he comes, Kali Yuga. He sends Srila Prabhupada in Kali Yuga. These personalities, the Lord Chaitanya is the God himself, right? Supreme personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. The Supreme Lord, Radha and Krishna combined, the most merciful. Namo Mahavanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaurutashe Namaha. So in the worst age, right? Manda Sumanda Manda Matayo Manda Bhagya, in the age where everything's going down, intelligence is going down, lifespan is going down, all of these things are going down. At the same time, the Bhagavatam says the one good thing about Kali Yuga is what? Is that just by chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can come back to Godhead in this lifetime. Yeah? So it is going down according to the time factor. But we have special mercy because we're basically, I don't know, what do you call it in America? The students who are really struggling. Is there a particular name for that group, that class? Special needs, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So we're the special needs students in Kali Yuga, right? But we have a great teacher. We have a great teacher, great teacher. So it doesn't matter. The best teachers will come. The greatest mercy comes to those who are the most fallen. Okay? That's what's going on. So did I answer the first part of the question? Was it because just remind me the two questions? I'll make sure I covered both of them properly.
No, so like the first one was like time is a material concept. So how was that? I thought it was like talking about spiritually, and then the second one was about like if sattva enhances time, like if time enhances sattva.
Yes, I should say something like that on that particular topic. So yes, this point again means that over the long term, if you act in the mode of goodness, you get a better benefit over the long term, right? As we were saying earlier, the mode of ignorance, you may do something that's immediately okay. The classic example is the marshmallow experiment. I'm sure some of you have heard of this experiment. Some of you may not have heard of it. There's a famous experiment that was done, and this is a great example of this point. They looked at young children, and they were given this experiment. So they will take a young child and they'll sit them down and they'll put like two marshmallows in front of them, and they say to them, "Look, I'm going to go out of the room for about 20 minutes. When I come back in 20 minutes, if you don't eat the marshmallows, if you leave those two on the plate, don't eat them. When I come back in 20 minutes, I'll give you another two." In other words, they will tell the young people, if you're prepared to delay instant gratification, then when I come back, you'll be rewarded with something more by delaying the instant gratification. Now, what they found was some children were not able to do it, right? You leave them to 20 minutes in front of the marshmallows, and they're just thinking, wow, that looks good. You asked me to wait 20 minutes. Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? No, I'm going to eat them now, right? Some children were like that. But they found that there were some children who were able to wait. They were able to discipline themselves. Now, what they don't say about that experiment, but what we say about the experiment is we can look at it through the lens of scripture. Through the lens of scripture, the children who were able to delay gratification, I'm going to ask you the question because you'll know the answer. It means that that child had more of what mode in their consciousness? Goodness. You see, they don't know this because they don't know Vedic scripture, but what they're testing for is how much default goodness is in that child's consciousness. So if a child has a lot of the lower modes, what happens when they're left with those two marshmallows? What do they do? They eat it because the lower modes which are working on their consciousness does not give them the ability to control themselves and to delay gratification. So what they were actually testing for is how much ignorance and passion is in this person's consciousness versus how much goodness is in this person's consciousness. So those children who are able to delay gratification, it means that in their consciousness, there's a significant amount of goodness. Now get this, that experiment, what they found, they did this as a long-term study. They found that the children who were able to delay the gratification, those children tended to do better in their relationships. They tended to do better in their careers. They tended to achieve more at school in their education. They tended to be less likely to be addicted to anything, drugs, alcohol, anything like that. So again, it's exactly what we're talking about here. These many of the things that you'll see in the secular world as experiments, if you look at it through the scripture, you'll understand they're testing for different modes of material nature in the consciousness of different people. What happens in our books, if you read Prabhupada's books regularly, what the books do is they're actually training your mind to attune to the mode of goodness because they show you the long-term results of something. To give an example, I love mango lassi. That's a little hint there for you people who are cooks, right? It's a little hint there, right? But I love mango lassi. But if you said to me, look, BBD, here's a mango lassi. Like in the adverts, in the adverts when they show you a drink, it's always got like this little condensation running down the side, right? Just to give you a sense it's really cool and tasty and really refreshing. You'll really enjoy it. If you give me if you put a glass of mango lassi in front of me and you say, look, I know you want it, BBD. Look, you know you want it. Come on. And I'll be like, yeah, let's go, right? But then if you point out just before you drink it, I just want to let you know there's a slow-acting poison in the mango lassi. That slow-acting poison, it won't kill you immediately, just over time, maybe a few days, you'll die. I wouldn't take it now. Because why? Because I'm not just seeing the mango lassi, I have a deeper understanding of the mango lassi. So what the scripture does is it does similar. It gives you a deeper understanding of everything. It expands your horizons. It allows you to see deeply into the nature of it. You can do something wrong in the short term, no problem. You can even hide it, but this is where you're going to end up. Do you want to end up in that particular space? So it gives us the long-term view behind everything. You see? That's the point. It is training our consciousness to see more deeply into every aspect of the material creation, to see more deeply even into our spiritual practices, so we can make choices which will guarantee us deep, not just deep happiness, but also lasting happiness. Like right now, you ask a devotee to eat meat, they can't do it. It's like, you want me to put a dead body in my mouth? Really? Most people's like, that's horrid. But to a non-devotee, they don't see it that way because they don't understand, they don't see deeply what it is. In fact, what is the Sanskrit word for meat? Mamsa. Mamsa literally means you, me. It means, as I'm killing you now, you will get to kill, I agree for you to kill me in the future. Mamsa. That's what it means. That's the Sanskrit word for flesh. So with this deep understanding, it changes our decisions, it changes our choices. You see, why do people make mistakes in the world? Because they don't have a deep understanding of the consequences. Yeah. So this is the whole point. The time factor favors us over the long term, because people who live in the mode of goodness, what happens is you make choices which compound upon themselves in the long term. So your friends, classic example, everyone's at university. Some people are just messing around, but someone else is studying, right? Now, people think, oh, I'm just going to cram last minute. But when you cram last minute, it can be stressful. But the person who's just been doing a little bit of study throughout the year, actually the exams are much easier. But it doesn't just stop there, because now they have a habit of studying and just taking a little bit of work, learning it and moving on. So now, rather than things being really, really difficult in their life, they just take things as they come, do things when it's easy and small, rather than when it's hard and intense. Yeah. So this is how the devotees are meant to be. If we study the books, it's training and transforming our consciousness. You won't even be aware of it. But slowly, bit by bit, you change the way that you show up in the world, and you have a greater long-term success and a deeper level of success. You feel success in a deeper way, more satisfied, more peaceful, more strong in your consciousness. The things that disturb everyone else, they don't disturb you, and you're not pretending. It's because of the nature of our consciousness. Okay, so we'll stop there. Thank you very much for your question. I think the curtains will open in a moment, and then we will have Guru Puja. Thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And if there's any other questions from this morning, we can discuss them in the Q&A later on today. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. It's feeling. Um. Praise the Lord, she is such a good person, God, she is a God, she is more like me. She's trying to stop. I'm going to shoot one Bhagavatam and Gita. Don't be a Bhagavatam and Gita one. Offers. I don't know. So right now we're in ratio of breakfast. But before, we're thinking of breakfast. So if we could make our way into the shop, and then like we will have this. Go.
Sorry, I'll be back. Sorry.
Yeah.
You didn't sing. You don't have to sing. Okay, you take something. My camera had that color in. It's nice.